Welcome, my friends! In this video, I will begin my discussion of Chapter 2, Analysis of Categorical Data. Specifically, I'll be covering Section 2.1, Frequency Tables. Let's consider the following dataset. This dataset contains the name of a number of individuals who are sampled, as well as their religion. Based on the data table alone, it would be very difficult to determine much of anything about the religion of individuals in the sample. For example, just based on the table, it's very difficult to tell what percentage of individuals are Catholic. Sure, we could estimate this value, but just based on the table alone, it would be difficult to tell. One solution is to create what we call a frequency table to summarize the data. So, what is a frequency table? Well, I'm glad you asked. A frequency table is specifically used to summarize categorical data in a table. And this table will always contain 3 different columns. Here is the frequency table for our variable, which is religious affiliation. The first column will always have a label for your variable, in this case, religious affiliation, and will contain all the different possible values of your variable. The second column will be titled frequency, and will count up how many individuals in your sample had each level of the categorical variable. For example, we had 175 Catholics in our sample, which is the frequency for the label of Catholic. The final column will always be titled percentage, which can be calculated based on the frequency column. Just take each frequency, divide by the total of all frequencies, 982 in this case, and then multiply by 100 to get the percentage. For example, to find the percentage of Catholics from our sample, we can take the 175 Catholics in our sample, divide by the total of all the frequencies, which is 982, and then take our result and multiply by 100. The result, rounded to 1 decimal place, is 17.8%. Also note that all the percentages should total up to 100%. So if you add all these numbers together, you should get 100%. Finally, sometimes instead of percentage for your last column, it might be titled relative frequency, and the numbers could be expressed as a decimal. So instead of having 17.8%, we could have a relative frequency of 0.178. Now that we've created our frequency table, we can tell a lot more information about our variable. For example, we can see that the most common religious affiliation is Evangelical Protestant, with 24.8% of respondents choosing this option. The second most common is unaffiliated, with 23.8% of respondents choosing this option. The 2 least common options were other Christian, with only 1%, as well as I don't know, with 1% as well. Alright, here's a problem for you to try. The data below shows the voting district for 50 respondents in Grand Haven, Michigan to a survey. The numbers 1 through 4 represent voting districts 1 through 4, and 5 represents a response of I don't know. Create a frequency table that includes both the frequency and the percentage. As a reminder, for any frequency table, you're going to have the first column, which is going to represent the variable, in this case, voting district, and then 2 additional columns, one for frequency and one for percentage. Now you might be thinking, isn't this quantitative data? We have numbers here. Isn't a frequency table used for categorical data? Well, if you think about the variable here, which is voting district, even though we're using numbers to represent that, this is really more categorical in nature. Voting district is really a category we can put individuals into, which is why the frequency table is going to make sense. Alright, so once you have given that a try, that's all I have to talk about in this video, so I will see you in the next one.